Sharing in the bliss that we all have, the gift of eternal life with your consciousness. Sharing in the bliss that we all have, the gift of eternal life with your consciousness. Sharing in the bliss that we all have, the gift of eternal life with your consciousness.
Hello, lovely people. It is a very rainy day here at the Mother Temple in Florence, but I am so happy to be here with you. God and Goddess, thank you so much for the rain that nourishes the earth and helps all of life continue. Thank you for the ability to be here for fellowship and service and all of the other great things that are yet to come, all the adventures, all of the new doors that are being opened. Thank you for providing a path for us to accomplish our soul's mission. Please help us to remember what that is and to align with it. Help us to become the best versions of ourselves possible so that we can ascend the golden ladder and also help others ascend as well. Help us to make this world into a garden paradise. Lead and guide us. Help us to be compassionate and loving and kind. In the name of Elohim, I pray. Amen. Today on the Nazarene calendar, it is the first day of the week. And actually, I need to make sure that my computer is charging because it is not. Let's just pray first. Our God and Goddess, immanent and transcendent, send to all your angel of peace. To my body, send your angel of life. Definitely need to do things to help empower the life force that is our body to take care of ourselves. The Nazarenes were daily bathers. They were also at least vegetarian in this world. It's kind of necessary to be vegan unless you actually have the animals that are being taken care of and all of that kind of stuff, because we have to align with the scriptures, and it is very clear about how the animals are taken care of and how important it is. So that being said, 1 second here, let me get my other cord going. Okay. Sweet, give some people time to get here. Anyways, today I am not, as you can see from the thumbnail and the description, not reading from the Megillah, although I will say that it is available at Essene.org. You can purchase it from the website, and I'll be doing the shipping this week. So I'm super excited about getting to do that and all of the fun stuff that is. Hello, David D. David D says, please help us to make this world into a garden paradise. Amen. Hello, Soul. How's it going? Woohoo! Finally getting to be on the live sending. It's been a long time. Amen to your prayer. Amen. And thank you. I'm glad that you were able to join. Like I said, today I wanted to read from something different than we've been reading, but it is kind of along the same lines. The Nazarene Bible of the Essene Way. And this is going to be from the Essene Gospel of Peace. There are other formats of this text. I like this one in particular because it has the Essene Humane Gospel of Christ and the Essene Gospel of Peace, all of the different books in the back. But this one is really good too. Many of you may know that the Gospel of the Holy 12 is the text that made me vegan and started really opening my eyes to the original teachings of Christ. But there's also the Essene Humane Gospel of Christ as well. And those ones, both of those texts kind of go together as gospels. And for many years, that's what I was basing, my beliefs and teachings and everything else on, until I found the Holy Megillah, and that provides the Old Testament stories and the creation story and kind of how we got to the Holy God spell, right? To where actually Christ's teachings began. Because without that backstory, it's kind of like, well, what's the foundations of the religion? Christ was a Torah follower. So what's the Torah? Because most of us know that the mainstream Bible. The Aaronite Torah is corrupt. It talks about God being, jealous and angry and requiring animal sacrifice, which led to human sacrifice, right? Where he sent his son and literally was sacrificed in the context of that religion for our sins, right? And all to satisfy his bloodlust, because frankly, if you do something wrong to me, I am able to forgive you without requiring you to go out and murder some animals or do anything, right? Of course, there could be stipulations on forgiveness if they were, more reasonable. Like, I don't know. I don't personally think that we should be doing that. Part of the Nazarene religion is forgiveness, and so it's, forgiving. Obviously, yeah, I guess there's contexts where people can walk all over you and you're just forgiving and forgiving. You're like, all right, I'm not going to be in this situation anymore because the behavior is not changing. I forgive you, but I'm not going to be in that situation anymore, right? So it's kind of a way to not be in that, not just continuously forgiving in this unhealthy cycle, but forgiving them and understanding where they're at and what they're not capable of, and not holding on to that, just being like, they got their own thing going on and what they need from me is love and forgiveness. I don't need to be having any energetic ties and bonds to this person, especially that are negative. It's like, nope, anything that's coming from me is just love. That's all I got for you. So if you don't want any of that, then don't come my way, because that's all I have. David says that they are messing with the weather again. Coldest New York has ever been. Many homeless have frozen to death. Oh man, I have not heard about the homeless freezing to death. I know that every year this happens, and these things are kind of swept under the rug. I know that people in Wairika, when they had the homeless hill, people had frozen to death in those situations as well. It's really, really tragic, especially because we have all of the resources, so many resources that this earth provides for us that can help fix this, so let's save that. Anything else? Because I could get off on a tangent about how many different resources, but the Holy Megillah, the good book, says that in the last days, hemp, for instance, is going to be, well, they say that Lady Isha's, the symbol of her army is a green lion holding a staff with a hemp leaf at the top, because in the last days, the hemp plant is going to be needed to basically help fix the earth and her myriad of diseases because of, the plastic industry and even oil, gasoline, all of these different things. Like hemp is an amazing, it's a plant from the angels, right? It's a cure all for so many different things, not just in that industry, but like clothing, right? We have people freezing to death, but we could be growing hemp and everybody would be clothed. Food, medicinal purposes, all these different ways that hemp literally can help fix the world. So anyways, bring on the hemp, right? Okay, cool. So that being said, what I wanted to read to you today, it's not very long, but before we continue, I should say that I am going to get into the Megillah, but we're starting the Holy God spell next. And I literally just got into town yesterday and there's a lot going on right now. So I need to make sure that I look over it and make any slides and see how I'm going to kind of separate it up into portions, but that is coming. So that's not going to be very long before we jump in there. But today I wanted to read a little excerpt from the Essene Gospel of Peace, Book 1. And yeah. And then many sick and maimed came to Yeshua, saying, or asking him, if you know all things, tell us, why do we suffer with these grievous plagues? Why are we not whole like other men? Master, heal us that we too may be strong and need abide no longer in our misery. We know that you have it in your power to heal all manner of disease. Free us from Satan and from all his great afflictions. Master, have compassion on us. And Yeshua answered, happy are you that you hunger for the truth, for I will satisfy you with the bread of wisdom. Happy are you that you knock, for I will open to you the door of life. Happy are you that you would cast off the power of Satan, for I will lead you into the kingdom of our mother's messengers, where the power of Satan cannot enter. And they asked him in amazement, who is our mother, and which her messengers, and where is her kingdom? Your mother is in you, and you in her. She bore you and gives you life. It was she who gave to you your body, and to her shall you one day give it back again. Happy are you when you come to know her and her kingdom. If you receive your mother's messengers, and if you do her laws, I tell you truly, he who does these things shall never see disease. For the power of our mother is above all, and it destroys Satan and his kingdom, and has rule over all your bodies and all living things. The blood of which runs in us is born of the blood of our earthly mother. Her blood falls from the clouds, leaps from the wombs of the earth, babbles in the brooks of the mountains, flows wide in the rivers of the plains, sleeps in the lakes, rages mightily in tempestuous seas. The air which we breathe is born of the breath of our earthly mother. Her breath is azure in the heights of the heavens, sows in the tops of the mountains, whispers the leaves of the forests, billows over the cornfields, slumbers in the deep valleys, burns hot in the desert. The hardness of our bones is born of the bones of our earthly mother, of the rocks and of the stones. They stand naked to the heavens on the tops of the mountains, are as giants that lie sleeping on the sides of mountains, as idols set in the desert, and are hidden in the deepness of the earth. The tenderness of our flesh is born of the flesh of our earthly mother, whose flesh waxes yellow and red in the fruits of the trees and nurtures us in the furrows of the fields. Our bowels are born of the bowels of the earthly mother and are hid from our eyes like the invisible depths of the earth. The light of our eyes, the hearing of our ears, both are born of the colors and the sounds of our earthly mother, which enclose us about as the waves of the sea a fish, as the eddying air a bird. I tell you, in very truth, man is the son of the earthly mother, and from her did the Son of Man receive his whole body, even as the body of the newborn babe is born of the womb of his mother. I tell you truly, you are one with the earthly mother. She is in you, and you in her. Of her were you born, and in her do you live, and to her shall you return again. Keep therefore her laws, for none can live long, neither be happy, but he who honors his earthly mother and does her laws. For your breath is her breath, your blood, her blood, your bone, her bone, your flesh, her flesh, your bowels, her bowels, your eyes and your ears are her eyes and ears. I tell you truly, should you fail to keep but only one of all these laws, should you harm but only one of all your body's members, you shall be utterly lost in your grievous sickness, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I tell you, unless you follow the laws of your mother, you can in no wise escape death. And he who clings to the laws of his mother, to him shall his mother cling also. She shall heal all his plagues, and he shall never become sick. She gives him long life and protects him from all afflictions, from fire, from water, from the bite of venomous serpents. For your mother bore you, keeps life within you. She has given you her body, and none but she heals you. Happy is he who loves his mother and lies quietly in her bosom. For your mother loves you, even when you turn away from her. And how much more shall she love you if you turn to her again? I tell you truly, very great is her love, greater than the greatest of mountains, deeper than the deepest seas. And those who love their mother, she never deserts them. As the hen protects her chickens, as the lioness her cubs, as the mother her newborn babe, so does the earthly mother protect the Son of Man from all dangers and from all evils. For I tell you truly, evils and dangers innumerable lie in wait for the sons of men. Beelzebub, the prince of all devils, the source of every evil, lies in wait in the body of all the sons of men. He is death, the creator of every plague, and taking upon him a pleasant raiment, he tempts and entices the sons of men. Riches does he promise, and power, and splendid palaces, and garments of gold and silver, and a multitude of servants. All these he promises renown and glory, fornication and lustfulness, gluttony and wine-bibbing, riotous living and slothfulness and idle days. And he entices everyone by that to which their heart is most inclined. And in the day that the sons of men have already become the slaves of all these vanities and abominations, then in payment thereof, he snatches from the sons of men all those things which the earthly mother gave them so abundantly. He takes from them their breath, their blood, their bone, their flesh, their bowels, their eyes, and their ears. And the breath of the Son of Man becomes short and stifled, full of pain and evil smelling, like the water of the swamps. It clots and blackens like the night of death. And his bones become hard and knotted. It melts away within and breaks asunder as a stone falling down upon a rock. And his flesh waxes fat and watery and rots and putrefies with scabs and boils that are an abomination. Man, does that not describe how so many people go out of this world? I don't know how many nursing homes you've been in, but man, that is unfortunately the exact sign of lives that are not lived according to the way. But let's continue. And his bowels become full with abominable filthiness, with oozing streams of decay, and multitudes of abominable worms, parasites, right, have their habitation there. And his eyes grow dim till dark night enshrouds them, and his ears become stopped like the silence of the grave. And last of all shall the erring Son of Man lose life, for he kept not the laws of his mother, and added sin to sin. Therefore are taken from him all the gifts of the earthly mother, breath, blood, bone, flesh, bowels, eyes, and ears, and after all else, life, with which the earthly mother crowned his body. But if the erring Son of Man be sorry for his sins and undo them and return again to his earthly mother, and if he do his earthly mother's laws and frees himself from Satan's clutches, resisting his temptations, then does the earthly mother receive again her erring son with love and sends him her messengers that they may serve him. I tell you truly, when the Son of Man resists the Satan that dwells in him and does not his will, in the same hour are found the mother's messengers there, that they may serve him with all their power and free utterly the Son of Man from the power of Satan. For no man can serve two masters, for either he serves Beelzebub and his devils, or else he serves our earthly mother and her messengers. Either he serves death, or he serves life. I tell you truly, happy are those that do the laws of life and wander not upon the paths of death. For in them the forces of life wax strong, and they escape the plagues of death. And all those around him listened to his words with amazement, for his word was with power, and he taught quite and he taught quite otherwise than the priests and scribes. I really love that. And obviously it talks about the earthly mother. In these Essene scrolls, there is more of a focus on, God above and then the earthly mother. When I read this, I take it not only as the earthly mother, because she is one of the angels that we commune with, Isha, right? But our actual heavenly mother and, goddess, transcendent, immanent, and transcendent, and how she is with us. I grew up in the mainstream Christian background, so there was no mother, there was no goddess there, and if there is such thing, they're just demons, right? It's like, and there's so much demonization of the feminine divine in general, and we read in the good book, the Holy Megillah, the reason why, right? When Eve felt contrition, she went, and her and Abdiel helped Adam to see that, killing animals was wrong, and all that the false Yahweh had deceived them. Then the devil literally said that females, their intuition is apple from the wrong tree, that they can't be followed, and started demonizing them. They're not allowed in the priesthood. We see that tradition followed throughout so many of the different mainstream religions, which we also see in the Holy Megillah, that pretty early on, the devil literally sent his priests in to kill and replace all of the different priests of the different religions that were going on at that time, so that they could be infiltrated and corrupted. Mainly making the focus animal sacrifice and human sacrifice. So keeping the different, all of the different ways that our cultures and religions differ, but then the underlying ideas are the same, and they involve warfare and killing and all of these different negative things that have been slipped in corruption over time. I love to research the religions and kind of try to find their origins, and it's really cool to see in the Megillah that talks about how in the very beginning the Nazarenes obviously had to spread out. They were in dispersion because they're literally getting killed all the time. I keep saying literally. So anyways, they were in dispersion and they spread out, and their first kibbutzas, like in India, were the first ashrams, and they're what we see that what the ancients called Egyptian sacred geometry was actually taught to them by the Nazarenes. So all of this ancient knowledge and wisdom, especially coming from the enlightenment that happened with Abdiel in the Garden of Eden, and all of the intelligence that comes after that expansion of consciousness and knowledge, right? Knowing more things. We have the false Yahweh that was giving them the wrong knowledge, right? We read about the island of Italia and how they were mixing genes, how they were enslaving, doing cannibalism, human sacrifice, all that kind of different evil stuff that was taught to them. So David says, so many things that can be created by hemp. Absolutely. Yeah. So anyways, that was what I wanted to read from the Essene Gospel of Peace about the mother. And before actually I jump into the comment section, back to finding the mother and that connection, before I go off the topic, that was so cool to even read it in like Proverbs 8. And then even with the Genesis, the mainstream Bible creation story, and how it said, like, let us make man in their image, and how this Elohim is a plural type thing. There's different little breadcrumbs throughout the text that talk about, Proverbs talks about she, and how finding her wisdom, Sophia, is more precious than silver and gold, more valuable than anything else, right? All these little breadcrumbs that they leave while demonizing it. So I really loved that passage about how, if the erring son of man will turn back to the ways of the mother, realign with Yah's way, that the right way of existing, whether it's with Mother Earth or with any other faction of our lives, that's when we get embraced. And in this, again, it talks about the angels of the Mother Earth and her messenger. But in Holy Megillah, we read about the messengers of the tree of life, which are the branches and the roots. And it's not of Mother Earth, although this is the tree of life of our specific earth that connects with the other tree of lives out. It's connecting with the divine mother and father, and Mother Earth is only one of those those factions that we commune with. So it's great to read these texts that embrace the feminine divine and that help reconnect us with that. Because just like on a physical level, if we have issues with our parents, mother, father, maybe if they're not there growing up, that can cause all sorts of other, even security issues, just all depression, all sorts of problems that come from that lack of connection or misconnection, wrong connection with that. And so realigning, especially finding the Holy Megillah and understanding that God and Goddess are loving and seeing them for their true character rather than even the Essene Gospel of Peace and other texts like that. Again, they separate Mother Earth and make her down here, and they don't put them together as mother and father in that balance together that created all things, that dance of the masculine and feminine that is found in all of creation. So finding that and healing those wounds with our divine parents is really important. And I think that the more that we focus on that and try to heal, like, it's gonna just help so many other things align in our lives, and it's going to help. It's just going to make everything so much better. And so I would definitely encourage people to focus on that and finding, like, even if other relationships are bad, we can judge God and Goddess based on our parents and how imperfect they may be. And I would definitely encourage you to not do that, because they are, again, imperfect. But God and Goddess, immanent and transcendent, they are absolutely perfect. And they love us, they're forgiving, and they want what's best for us. And they're just, this loving, receptive energy, just like, come on, daughter or son, like, don't you just want some love? Don't you want to be uplifted? It's so many are fearful of God because of mainstream religion. Even the false powers that be, their example of, God is essentially the devil, right? And it's this mean, if you mess up against me, I'm gonna cut your hands off, or like an eye for an eye, get thrown into the bottomless pit of fire for eternity and burn type. Like, that's sad if you think that that's what your creator, your father, your mother is like. And that's going to cause you to act in a lot of different ways, even as far as like the powers that be go, being fearful of dying, and then and through that fear, then all of a sudden they chase immortality through artificial means, and now they're enslaved light. They're afraid to die. They're stuck in this cycle of just evil because of all of their fear. When God and Goddess love you too, no matter how far you have fallen, you're still their child, and they want you to rise again. So hopefully that message can get out and be uplifted to our brothers and sisters that have fallen. I know that there's so much curse energy going towards, quote unquote, Bill Gates and, Biden and Trump and all these, characters. They are already down, like, they're already lost and in darkness. And those of us that are more enlightened especially need to understand that we shouldn't be sending them curse energy. It should just be like love. That's all that we have, because they're already very lost in darkness, and we are powerful. Especially the more pure that we get, the more connected that we get to mother and father, the more that we do our communions with the branches and roots, the different forces, that those powers are going to strengthen. We read about, Moses and Miriam going out, not Miriam Lady Christ, but Miriam in Moses' story, going out to, the Red Sea, and actually doing a dance and using the sounds of power to call on these forces to make things happen, right? And we can do that too. The more that we do that, the more powerful that we become, the more important it is that we are conscious of what we're using our power for. And obviously the responsibility is probably going to be coming before the powers, because the people giving the power, the powers out, aren't going to just give it to those that are not going to use it appropriately. And that's one of the things about the sounds of power in the Holy Megillah. that says that they're basically rendered null and void by people that want to come in and try to use them, that they're not going to be empowered because their intent, their reason for doing it isn't pure. So hope you connect with the mother. And yeah, I would encourage people to read the Holy Megillah. As great as the Essene Gospel of Peace is, I really think that the Holy Megillah is not only more inspired, the way that it reads is just really captivating. And I mean, it's had me in tears. Like, it's just so inspiring as well, because of the things that these characters are going through are actually relatable to what we're going through. Like, the stories in the mainstream Bible, some of them you can kind of connect with, like, but it's just so much different. Like, I'm inspired, I'm excited. Like, Enoch talking about, I'm going down my path that leads down this mountain. I ride the back of the lamb and the dove is on my head. Like, let's go. I'm like, yeah, that's exciting stuff spiritually. Like, that is, I don't know. That was what I would encourage people to read. So, ooh, I'm getting excited. Soul says, I would love to know why you think Mount Shasta is the meeting place between heaven and earth. It seems like a lovely and mighty place. It's actually called that in like the mainstream. If you hold on a second. And earth. So it's like, yeah, like if you Google Mount Shasta meeting place of heaven and earth, it's kind of like known as that. Giving rise to the local saying Mount Shasta where heaven meets earth, because it says Mount Shasta, often referred to as the root chakra of the world, is a place of immense spiritual power and mystery. It is steeped in legends as is believed to embody both the root and the crown chakras, giving rise to the local saying Mount Shasta where heaven and earth meet. So there you go. Not something that I came up with, but that's what other people have said. I think Mount Shasta is really important especially once I started reading the Holy Megillah. Well, even before that, I was talking about being the future Israel and a really important mountain, essentially of peace, which is so kind of funny because I wasn't saying mountain of peace, but I was literally saying none shall hurt or destroy in my holy mountain, which is the same thing. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, I think Mount Shasta is really important. And it talks in here about, this old Eden and how, I don't know, when I'm in Mount Shasta, that's what it feels like to me. I feel like that is the mountain of peace. It is an Edenic site. So I would definitely encourage everybody to visit Mount Shasta at least once and see the healing spiritual power of the mountain. Many of you might know that I do full moon celebrations throughout the summer up there, and I think that July. I'm actually going to post the Facebook event this weekend, I believe. After I revamp the flyer. July 29th is the first full moon of this year, 2026. So I will be up there. That's a Wednesday, so it's not really convenient for people that have a regular job. But the Essene gathering up here in Florence is actually the 24th to the 26th. So I'll be up here during that because before, I don't, like, the plans aren't solidified, but when I was originally asked, I believe that I was offered to have a speaking, like to have a speaking role at it. Like, they have different people speaking throughout the weekend on different topics, and be part of the words of opening that I played on here with my friend Dave. The music video of us playing in the other room in the church. We were asked to record that. They're planning on doing a live album recording during the gathering. And so recording that song and being part of, in general, whatever other recordings, and maybe getting to like lead some sort of bhakti yoga, which is like a call response type praise and worship song that, like, I don't really know what's going to be in store, but I'm going to be up here for that, the 24th to 26th, and then have to scurry down there and be ready for the full moon by the 29th. So I'm definitely going to be doing prep work ahead of time and planning that meticulously. But the whole point that I was saying is that these full moon events are free for anybody who shows up. We have a free big buffet of vegan food that, come and eat, a giant fire, music. At midnight, we say a prayer. So the whole thing doesn't really start until sunsets because it's a full moon thing. And we just stay out there underneath the full moon. It's really fun. And all these different great things. I have great plans for what I want to kind of transform it so that the prayer and stuff at midnight is just like more of a spiritual gathering rather than just people playing the drums and hanging out and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, besides that, I am going to be doing more stuff in Mount Shasta. August 8th will be the Lionsgate gathering where Day and Priestess Therese and who knows who else is going to come down to Mount Shasta. We're going to have a dinner party, some dancing, hanging out, some people giving talks about, well, it's a Lionsgate gathering, so it'll be about the Nasrian lions, the Green Lion Army, different things along that vein. And I'm super excited about that, which I am planning on posting a Facebook official event page soon. I'm just trying to figure out some of the details and the timing and those little things. But yeah, and then hopefully also starting my church and getting some other things started. I've mentioned before, it'd be really, really cool if the divine said that this was the appropriate thing to do and provided the funding for purchasing a place that would be a vegan cafe and a bookstore and like an actual little temple space for the church to gather, people to actually come into a building and be able to hold ceremony. Like I would really love that to be what happens. But when I said that it has to be the appropriate thing, at the same time, I'm seeing the world and not knowing if crap is going to hit the fan soon. So if I was given, a donation, would it be wiser to use it for preparatory purposes rather than all of that? Who knows? That's why I'm praying on it and hoping that the divine provides a way, and I'm hoping for that one to be it, because it would be so cool to have Mount Shasta's only vegan cafe and a bookstore that I get to like sell spiritual books at, and a church all in one type thing. So that would be just so, so, so cool. Jaja, please make that happen. Okay. Hello, the first last. Father and mother are one in God, in Yah. I would agree with that. I love how the Holy Megillah talks about it as well. The first last says, read the humane gospel next. Oh, well, okay. Well, I personally have read it myself. I'm not sure after we read the Holy Godspell what I will do. I might take a break from reading for the moment. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens, because at that point, then I can focus on actually teaching more lessons based on the fact that I know that at least my audience has access to all of the teachings. So I'll be like, okay, well, I trust that you have started at the beginning and you have read up to here. So you understand at least what I'm talking about. And then we can go from there. It's like the foundation has been set. You have heard the stories, you get it. Now we can build upon that and start actually digging deeper into it, but also, building a mansion on top of it, right? So that it's like, yeah. So anyways, but I do for the sheer the stories of it, the Essene humane gospel, like I was saying about the gospel of peace as well. If I were to like compile a Bible that was like different or something, I said before finding the Megillah, I talked about compiling a Bible, an Essene Bible that would have the Essene humane gospel of peace and the Essene gospel of the Holy 12 as kind of, how the gospels have overlapping stories that are similar but a little bit different. Same idea with these two, the humane gospel of peace or the Humane Gospel of Christ and the Gospel of the Holy 12, which are both available online for free. They have a lot of the similar stories that, especially that we're used to in the Bible, the feeding of the multitudes. And in these stories, it's like grapes and bread and melons and bread, which I think sounds infinitely better than smelly fish and bread. Like, oh, I never liked fish before. So anyways, I would agree. You should read it if you are interested in that. But these are also still kind of rooted to some extent in the Aaronite Torah. So they are, I've talked to other Essenes before that kind of argue against the Megillah, but I've asked them where their Old Testament is, because all of these Essene texts that I've read are still kind of loose. Like they don't fill in the gaps of all of those foundational stories that you kind of need in the New Testament. It just kind of like shows up that Christ is on the scene and like whatever. But it's assuming the Aaronite Old Testament. And so when you don't agree with the Aaronite Old Testament, then things start to change as well. Someone yesterday asked me about the Satan's little season thing. And I'm like, I actually don't believe in Satan's little season because that's not in my Bible. In my Bible, we're in the time of the sixth trumpet, and the time of the great harvest is like the purpose of that is to see if humans will essentially take the chip or become AI, become transhuman, enslave light, or stick to natural consciousness. That's kind of like the last test, if you will, before the graduation. And after that, there's the time where we enjoy this realm for 1,000 years, and then we graduate to the next class. We go to the class again. So it's not the idea of Satan's little season. But anyways, I was thinking about that earlier, and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't actually believe in that anymore because it's not part of my Bible. Like, to believe in that we're in Satan's little season, you have to fundamentally accept the mainstream Bible, and generally I don't. I think there is some really great stuff in there, like Psalms, Proverbs, some really great wisdom that's littered throughout, but that's what they use to, let my priests mix good with evil, let them dress in robes of white so that they trick, right? That was a paraphrasing of what the devil said. Hello, Infinite Harmony. Blissful greetings, Queen Goddess Inanna. Hello to you. David D says Satan has focused on hiding the feminine divine and God's desire for us to eat a fleshless diet. Amen. Yeah, that's so true. And the quote unquote feminine divine that we are taught about, or that people that maybe start to study it, usually are false goddesses, right? I mean, almost 10 times out of 10, they're the false goddess because they're not our goddess, immanent and transcendent. They're falling into these, war goddesses and different, that's ironic, but different, vampiric and dealing with like blood magic. One of the things I detest is anything that they're talking about, let's use our menstrual blood for things or any of that, like that. Realistically, Adam and Eve, like, when your body is pure, you're not going to be hemorrhaging from any body part at all. So the more pure that your body is, the less that you are even going to be menstruating, which should tell the spiritual thinker that this isn't something that we should just be like celebrating. And like blood in general, like any kind of blood ritual or blood, like these aren't things that we should be. Not saying that there's not powerful, there is power in blood rituals, don't get me wrong, but that is not of Yah's way. Yah's way does not include doing blood rituals and sacrifice and urine therapy or these degrading behaviors that are passed off as ritualistic or even beneficial or any of that stuff. So I got off on this tangent because the menstrual blood rituals that they try to associate with the feminine divine, and like, oh, it's such an honor, it's it's a representation of our femininity and our power and our ability, like all of the, like, no, it's actually not. Because if your body is in a pure and healthy state, it does not do that. Anyways. Okay. Hey Dan, how's it going? Hi Snow, your lookalike is in the news. They kidnapped her mom. Interesting. Let's see. Images. Wait, is this? Let's see. Do you have a name for me? Why kidnapped Elizabeth Smart didn't include the girl's mom? Oh, this. Anyways, I'm not really, I don't pay attention to the news. And Savannah Guthrie. Okay. That was really weird that, let's see. That's funny. I don't read the news at all. So let me just share my screen with you so that you can see what I'm seeing. We'll take a little detour. Screen share. Sure. I know we're like, oh wait, I should probably share this one. It's a good thing I'm so good at screen sharing. Just kidding. Which one am I doing? Okay. So Nancy Guthrie, is that who you're talking about with her daughter? I don't personally believe that any news stories are real. So that's one thing, but oh man, I hope that's not my doppelganger. Cool. Oliver. Yeah, it's interesting because the lower level news stories obviously are going to, like, for instance, highlights of, okay, well, I don't find this girl's name and I don't really care to look at this, but we can just detour a little bit about the news. I remember growing up that would have like local sports on TV and local student, blah, blah, blah. So like at a lower level, there is some truth to the media. And that's, one of the ways that they seed trust. So it's like, if this is real, and I know Bobby down the street's been on the news, or all the, whatever, then it kind of makes the mainstream, the bigger news, seem more credible and stuff. But yeah, it's hard to know where the line is drawn, especially because they'll have a real situation and then, give us a fake situation. And it's, Soul said, wow, thanks for that explanation. Very interesting. How long do you think it could be to the shit hits the fan? Well, that's a good question, because there is so much going on right now that is trying to lead up to that. In the Megillah, it says that we're already in the sixth trumpet of the seventh. It describes that, the master brain will get connected to things, and essentially that, we have to choose whether we'll buy or sell. And if we don't choose their mark in our forehead or our hand, then in the Megillah, it describes that the situation gets so bad that we're actually in the woods being hunted down as animals. It doesn't, I've seen other people kind of interpret the prophecies in a different way to kind of, I think that anything can happen. And like I said before, that the final test is whether we take that AI or not. And so when I read it, it looks to me that, all of these bad things are happening, and it's already progressed to the point where you have to make that choice. And us naturals are actually being hunted as animals. And then that, from the chronological way that I read it, is the seventh trumpet, when the White House gets bombed, and then the seraphim artificials are allowed to, with the government out of the way, Trump and all these, puppets, or the human, or not, whatever, the non-seraphim artificials that are currently doing it, they get taken out, and then the seraphim artificials, they need to have a little, seraphicials, I don't know, they can reveal themselves and take control. So the other interpretation that I've read is people talking about how Iran's getting provoked right now. I don't think that we're that close to the time of the seventh trumpet, because at least for Iran, the more immediate threat to them is the actual state of Israel, that's boots on the ground right in their face, rather than us across the way. Obviously anything can happen. I'm just kind of talking through my own thoughts about it. So who knows what's going to happen, because in the prophecies it says that the children of the crescent moon, bombed the White House. So for them to not be focused on Israel so much that they come to us, who knows? I mean, obviously it could happen in whatever manner, but yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens with everything that is going on, and everything that they have planned. Even in the news in America, they're talking about the digital banking type stuff and trying to make cash obsolete, which we've heard about that for how many years, right? But trying to make cash for businesses, make it more of a pain in the butt, because now they have to write all these reports and stuff, whereas the credit card stuff is instant and you don't have to do all that, incentivizing them to go cashless, right? All of these things, again, that is leading to this. I think that when Trump had Elon in the White House, that was the sign of, again, fulfilling that prophecy, or showing us that that was what was coming. Because in the prophecies, I'm pointing to my Megillah over there, it talks about how all of the government, the workplace, all of these are connected to the master brain, and that master brain, that government, can deem you expendable or worthy based on if you contribute more than you take. So the people that are elderly, mentally challenged, disabled, all of these factions are, oh, sorry, grandma, you're not bringing it, you're costing our government too much. Remember trying to eliminate government spending, and we want to make sure that nobody's getting any more money. Like, I don't know, there's an interesting, because I come from a very patriotic, like, conservative background, that's like, you don't work, you don't eat, and kind of a negative towards government handouts and all of these, programmings. And I can see these kinds of people cheering on, let's put it in the system. Let's, tally everything up, because everybody makes sure that they're contributing equally, and they'll unknowingly, cheer for this AI government takeover, because it's going to help eliminate government spending and government corruption and illegal immigrants having benefits and all of these different factors. That, yeah, it's really interesting to see how the patriotic side is kind of being used to cheer on the New World Order. Obviously, both sides have been working together. But even with, like, the deportation and this very, like, violent, like, get out of here, like, this is gearing up toward that stuff that I'm telling you about. This is our smart city, and if you're not going to get this chip, then you're an illegal immigrant, and we're going to cheer on our government as they smush your head into the ground and do all sorts of very violent, mean things, and, take their weapons out, and, like, all of this stuff. And yeah, they'll use the patriotism for their 15-minute city, right? My city's better than yours. They already do this kind of stuff with, like, sports, right? It's like, what city's teams are better than the other. They already have us, like, Hunger Games, like, set up type mentalities already. So yeah, that's another thing. The Patriot games, right? Those, I actually don't even know all the details, but there's competitive games that, Trump is planning for some big, what's this big reunion, or America's anniversary of some sort. History is written by the winner, and it doesn't help us to know, like, it's not doing anything valid, because they say, oh, well, if you don't learn history, you're bound to repeat it. It's like, but what happens if the stories that you're telling me are lies? Like, I wasn't going to do that story anyway. Like, give us the real story and then let us decide if we're going to repeat those things or not. Obviously, we wouldn't be repeating this, but yeah. The first set says Jeremiah 8:8, if you're wondering about the Old Testament. I agree. Yeah, that was one of the things that I started pointing to, saying like even the Torah was corrupted all the way in Jeremiah's time. If it was corrupted then, how much worse is it now? And it definitely is. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. The only truth that we have left is redeems the gospel of the Messiah. Well, I would personally not agree with that. The knowledge that would spread in the last days mentioned in Daniel 12, because this gospel will be rediscovered and exposes the falsehood. Well, my friend, I do agree with that, but I believe that the true gospel is in here, and this tells us our origin story. It tells us the reason that Christ and Miriam came. It shows that their gospel, that their ministry was together. I totally agree that the end days, that the truth will be revealed that has been hidden, and this is life changing. So, I mean, the gospel of the Holy 12 did change me, but it did not make me kind and loving, that's for sure. It did make me kind and loving towards animals, but it didn't change me in the way that this changed me, and I just love this book. Infinite Harmony says, then as we go into my questions, what is your take on Christ consciousness? That is exactly, I mean, what this is talking about, and talking about through the communions, we strengthen our embrace with the tree of life. We find the tree within, and we literally become that Christ consciousness through graduating through the school system. And then we get to come back to this earth as hands and feet of the Christ family of that, to spread the light to them. So that goes right along with the teachings in here that are just so great. David says, I love that you now refer to Lucifer as the devil. I'm definitely going to try to make that switch. I was thinking about that yesterday, and I'm like, oh, because I said it here for the first time, it kind of just naturally came out. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So, yeah, many of you might not know that when I first started reading this, I refused to demonize the name Lucifer, because Lucifer means light bearer. And personally, I do not believe that someone that hides the light should be called a light bearer, because that's like calling a circle a square, or I mean, that's like an improper title. And it also demonizes the title, right? If someone that's doing something evil goes around having a sign that says Jew on them, then it's going to make that certain group look bad, right? Sorry to throw that out, but I do love our real Jewish brothers and sisters, and I'm sad that they get demonized by those that claim they are Jews. We actually read about how the Jacobite in captivity, the Jacobites took on the name Jews, and they became the Jacobite Jews, whereas the Nazarenes have been called that because of Judah, the first master of Zion, Yehudites, Jews, all that. But anyways, yeah, I got in a little bit of trouble because of some people that didn't like the fact that I, instead of Lucifer, I just didn't use that title. So anyways, look at me now, soaring with the eagles. Cool. Soul says Sarah officials. I know, that was kind of a fun one, huh? I might have to start calling them that, because it's a lot easier than seraphim artificials. All right, I am gonna jump off of here. I got some things to do. I'm at the Mother Temple, and yeah, I have quite a bit of things to do, but I'm really excited because some things are in the works, especially for when I get back to Mount Shasta, which will be on, I should mention this. If you haven't signed up for the church service from the Mother Temple, if you are interested in that, You don't actually, I should change this because you don't have to reach out to him this way. If you go to essene.org, in the top, in the contact there, the second to last on the far side, and just say, hey, can you send me the Zoom link, and give them your email, then Day will be able to add you to the list. I'm going to be sharing, I'm going to be presenting something that was given to me. It's not going to be my own thing. In church, and also reading a passage of scripture. So if you're interested in tuning in, also even more than tuning in to me, there's going to be teachings about the Essene way. So, I mean, like for people that are interested in that too, I'm not trying to it's not all about me. I just know that there's people that are like, hey, if you're doing something, let me know so that I can tune in. Anyways, yeah, you can get the link from the website. Okay, one last thing. Where can we buy the Holy Megillah, the Nazarene Bible of the Essene Way? So you can go on essene.org, and it's actually the top thing there. A little, I don't know if disclaimer is the right word, but there are a few more chapters that are being numbered and organized right now for Day of Green Leaf's final edition that will be put out before the end of the year. So you might want to wait on that, because like I said, there's going to be a few more chapters added. There also, there's a group that's working on a little bit of like a glossary index type thing like that. This one doesn't have it. And yeah, so you might want to just wait, and you can read the PDF in the description. It's like chirp dot something lovers of the Megillah. That has a link not only to the essene.org website, but also to the PDF that you could read for free. If you do order one of these lovely, this is my second book, because my other one took a swim in the lake, and yeah, I couldn't even, like in church, I was trying to like turn the pages so quiet because they were all waterlogged, and it was like like the biggest crinkly noise to try to turn the pages. Anyways, this is my second book, and they are $100 each. But personally, I really love it, and I'm trying to take a lot better care of this one, so that's why you can see that it's not all marked up and stuff. Anyways, I think it's well worth it, is what I was gonna say. Even if you do want to buy this and buy another one in the future, it's precious to me. And I've gotten to help give out Megillahs to other people that, you know, have needed it and not been able to. I'm hoping in the future to actually, I was just talking with a friend this morning about setting up a fundraiser that people can donate to, that will be strictly used to help with the dissemination of the Megillah. So it would be like, my original idea was only buying actual Megillahs, but I am intending on, I have my own glossary in the works that's going to be thicker, on the thicker side, because it's very detailed with all the page numbers and like cross-referencing things. I also have different tracks, TRACTS is little booklets with different information, verses and stuff like that. All of those kinds of things could potentially be part of the fundraiser that is the dissemination of the Holy Megillah, but it also could just be this. So we'll see what the divine leads me to do with that. But yeah, that's my little spiel about that. I'm super excited to get to go do the shipping this weekend. So I'm like, I thought this was Saturday, so I'm a little bit messed up in my days right now. So anyways, I'm going to jump off of here and get some of my work done, but I have had a lovely time with you. The book that I read earlier, I guess it's already in the title, but it is the Essene Gospel of Peace. This is available on Amazon, and there's other formats of it as well, that didn't include this book as well, but I bought this with intention because I really like the Humane Gospel of Christ. Anyways, I hope that you have a wonderful day. May God and the Goddess